Hello class, so we still have two more subtopics to discuss in Unit 1. And for this lecture video, we will talk about unit vectors. So, a unit vector is a dimensionless vector that has a magnitude of exactly 1. And its purpose is just to point, meaning to describe a given direction and in space. So the symbol for a unit vector, to distinguish it from ordinary vectors whose magnitude may or may not be equal to 1, is meron tayong linalagay na caret or hat sa taas ng letter. Okay, so here's a visual representation of unit vectors. As you can see in an xy coordinate system, we use the symbol I hat and j hat to represent unit vectors pointing in the positive x and positive y directions respectively. And then, okay, so dito na tayo, we can express the relationship between component vectors and components as component vector ax is equal to ax I hat and component vector ay is equal to ay j hat. So similarly, we can write vector A in terms of its components as vector A is equal to ax I hat plus ay j hat. Because sabi natin, the sum of the component vectors of a vector is just equal to the vector itself, di ba? So, ganyan. Kaya naging ganyan yung equation natin. Okay. Now, suppose we wish to add a vector B that has components bx and by. So, ganyan. Anong mangyayari? Eh di magiging ganito, di ba? Resultant vector is equal to vector A plus vector B. And then, vector A is this in terms of its components. Then, vector B is this in terms of its components. So, anong next na mangyayari? Ang next is to add the x and y components separately. So, yung lahat ng may sub na x, pagsamahin natin, so magiging axi plus bxi hat plus yung may sub naman na y, so ay j hat plus by j hat. Then, meron silang common term, yung ax and bx, which is I hat, therefore, finactor out lang natin. Then, yung ay and by, meron din silang common factor na j hat. That's why, finactor out lang din natin. And from this, makaka-formulate tayo ng expression for the resultant vector, which is this. And as you can see, the components of the resultant vector are ax plus bx, which is rx, and ay plus by, which is actually ry. Okay? Okay. So now, if the vectors do not lie or do not all lie in the xy plane, then we need a third component. And we introduce a third unit vector that points in the direction of the positive z-axis. So it is shown in this figure. So we use the symbol k k hat to represent the unit vector pointing in the positive z direction. And so, vector A now, in terms of its components, will become vector A is equal to axi hat plus ayj hat plus azk hat. And if we have another vector B, for example, in terms of its components, we will have the expression vector B is equal to bxi hat plus byj hat plus bzk hat. So from these equations, the vector sum therefore of vector A and vector B would be this, diba? So vector R is equal to rxi hat plus ryj hat plus rzk hat. And here's the derivation. So yung A lang is sinubstitute lang natin yung vector A in terms of its components. Then the vector B in terms of its components. Then pinagsama lang natin lahat ng may naka sub x, sub y, and sub c. So ito na yung simplified form niya. Okay, so that's the derivation. Yes, one. Okay. So now let's solve this example. So you can go ahead and pause the video, then read and try to analyze the problem. Okay. Okay, so this problem will just be an application of your knowledge in operations in complex numbers and our previous lesson. So sana maintindihan nyo. Okay? So let's begin answering. So madali lang naman to. Okay? So the first step in solving this problem would be to multiply the vector D by 2, di ba? And then subtract the vector E. So let's do that. So for example, kunwari vector F, yung resultant vector. So ang hinahanap is 2 times vector D minus vector E, di ba? So ang gagawin lang natin sa dito, 2 times vector D is to multiply 2 with each of the components of the vector. So 2 times 6.00 I hat plus 3.00 j hat minus 1.00 k hat. Then subtract yung E. So 4.00 I hat minus 5.00 j hat plus 8.00 k hat. Okay. So let us multiply 2 with each of its components of the vector D. So magiging 12.00 I hat plus 6.00 j hat minus 2.00 k hat. Then we distribute the negative sign in each of these terms. So magiging minus 4.00 I hat plus 5.00 j hat minus 8.00 k hat. Then pagsamahin lang natin lahat ng terms ng may I hat, j hat, and k hat. So this would become 12 minus 4 is 8, diba? So 8.00 I hat. By the way, ang unit nito is meters. Talagay na lang natin dyan. Okay, so 8.00 I hat. Then 6j hat plus 5j hat is 11.00 j hat. And negative 2k hat minus 8k hat is negative 10. So minus 10.00 k hat. Then the unit is meters. So to find now the magnitude of the resultant vector F, ang gagawin lang is to take the square root of the sum of the squares of each of the components. So the magnitude of vector f is equal to the square root of fx squared plus fy squared plus fz squared. So this is equal to the square root of 8.00 meters squared plus, send natin, 11.00 meters squared plus negative 10.00 meters squared. So the magnitude therefore is equal to 16.9 meters. So ito na yung sagot. Okay? I hope naintindihan.